Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wingcat Sports. Today, we're going over more recent Lions rumors. There's a few players that have been linked with us, whether or not we get them. We'll see. I don't really think the Lions will do too much more this offseason. But the first player, I'll start on the defensive side, that has been kind of linked with us with some talks is Melvin Ingram. He played last year. He didn't do that bad last year, I don't think. He is older. He was with Miami last year. He had 6 sacks and 7 assists. 15 solo tackles out of 22 total tackles. He played all 17 games. So not bad for a linebacker. I don't know if you want to add a linebacker to what we got, but that's what he would be.
If we need anything, I think it's linebacking help. But in the essence, like we've been saying, these are all just kind of like, will this person improve our team any? Is there a spot for him? You got Derek Brooks, you got Anzalone, you got Campbell. Those are supposed to be the 3 guys. Do we have depth guys to kind of
Rodriguez?
Got Rodriguez. So I just think we're at the max point with the Lions. I don't, unless there's a clear upgrade, I don't see any reason to bring in a guy like that. I can't imagine they do too. I mean, I guess we're trying to fill in space right now, trying to think,
create some competition,
create some. Right. I mean,
see who might be a good fit. I mean, you have so much cap space. If you want to bring in a guy and see how they fit, that's what we got. I mean, that's how it's going to go. Whether or not we actually, like I said, I don't think we're going to end up really getting anybody this offseason who's left. Another free agent. This is actually a running back. We don't need any running backs. James Robinson. Last year, he played for the Jets. He's only been in the league for 4 years, 3 years with Jacksonville. Was with the Jets last year. He only averaged 4.4 yards a carry. He did have over 2 throughout his career. He only had 2.9 average last year for only 85 yards. So he didn't do much last year. He only played 4 games. He would be, again, a competition piece between Reynolds and Ibrahim. But I don't think you need to do anything for a third.
Barring injury, we're 4 deep right now. We got 4 penciled in, thinking Ibrahim will pretty much overtake Reynolds by the time the season starts.
Which I'm completely fine with. I mean, I think Ibrahim might be a steal.
I agree. I agree. He could turn out to be and that's the kind of stuff, the special kind of stuff you want. You look over in Minnesota, Dalvin Cook, man, guy's been great. But running backs, I keep hearing it. I find it funnier and funnier when they're all sitting there saying, how, they're not being respected and all this other stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It's just they're a dime a dozen. And you'd rather have a great line in front of some cheap running backs that'll give you almost the same thing. Yes, but so, I mean, I think we're pretty good right now with running backs. 4 deep. I just can't see any space. I'm really impressed with the Lions as far as how they've built this team. I think, like I said, their only real weaknesses now are mostly on defense.
And you could say wide receiver core.
You could. I mean, they ranked them, I guess, not very high.
They ranked behind
periodicals.
Both Minnesota and Chicago.
I think that's such a fine line. I mean, I think St. Brown's as good as anybody outside of Jefferson in our conference. I mean,
it's just after that who you talk about with Williams not being on the team.
Right. I mean, and Williams is still a big question mark whether or not he's going to be that number 1 receiver. We got Reynolds, we got Jones for insurance. I think they're reliable. They're not great.
Yeah.
But you got Laporta. What you have across the board are all above average. Maybe not elite outside of St. Brown. But you have everyone. I like all of them. I like Reynolds. I like Laporta seems to be somebody that everybody is falling in love with.
And even George Kittle said he's probably the best tight end that was in the draft.
Right.
And he worked with him.
You were going to have no shortage of options. Gibbs is going to be more of a receiving back than probably a carry the load back. That'll be Montgomery's job.
Yep.
So you have no shortage of anything. The only thing that'll derail us is injuries.
Yeah. And that's what you're building depth for. If someone gets hurt on your line, you have depth.
And I am worried. Is there depth? Is there
I think
maybe they should pick up more of a center if they don't think
that's what they got Glasgow.
Right, that's what I figured. They got Glasgow because it looks like Ragnow is not going to be reliable. That
he may or may not. It may or may not get worse.
And even if he plays, he's never going to be what he could have been before that injury, whatever that.
But he played through that injury last year.
He did, but it's getting harder and harder to do that.
So it is. That's why they got Glasgow back. Plus, I think also that guy they drafted, Scorsel.
He's not a center.
He's not a center, but I'm sure they'll work with him a little bit. So because he's played all positions on the line. He was mostly where he's at right now, but he has played all positions on the line.
But I'm glad they got Glasgow. I think he's a very capable center. And if something happens to Ragnow, I think they'll be okay. It's a terrible blow because the guy's fantastic when he's healthy. Probably one of the top 3 centers in the league. I hope to God he plays.
Out of your depth spots on the team, I think your most 2 concerning spots would be linebacker and wide receiver.
Right.
And which covers up the next topic of the next guy, which would be a trade option, Hunter Renfrow. He hasn't done terrible in Vegas, but he's never been the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
He has averaged 10 yards per catch throughout his career. Right. He has had a total of 244 receptions, 17 total touchdowns throughout his career. He would be a solid 3.
Who are the big names out there still? Hopkins still out there?
Hopkins hasn't signed yet. I mean, technically, if you wanted to get crazy with Diggs because of what's going on, you could go after Diggs. But I don't think you need to make anything major with your wide receiver depth. If you leave it as it is, Williams comes back, you have St. Brown, Williams, Reynolds,
about Khalif Raymond, who is a
solid
guy.
Antoine Green.
I mean, Antoine Green could develop into somebody really good. He has the speed. They said he's just not anybody. He's not
flashy. He's going to be catching the ball.
But he's got the burners, and he's got great size. So who knows? You never know who's going to develop into somebody, and that's what I'm more hoping for than rather go out and get some old retread who you already kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah,
I'd rather give these younger guys a shot, see what they can do,
and you save your cap space for next year. If you go trade for somebody, I mean, there's no point if you're not going to re-sign them, and you're going to save so much cap space next year for your 1-year people who are leaving. Whatever one of those people you want to save for next year, you have the money for next year.
I don't. And what I worry about from what I hear people talking, this is not a this year or bust year. I mean, it's not like if we don't win the Super Bowl this year that it's all forgotten. Our window is going to be open for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So I expect
there's a good chance.
Great things this year, though.
This year doesn't have to be the year because there's a good chance Kirk Cousins is out of Minnesota next year. Jordan Love, Justin.
Our division is going to be very interesting. I do not agree with what a lot of the people are saying out there, saying that we have this. That the path is ours to take.
I think all depends on.
There are a lot of question marks in our division, and I certainly think that the Lions have as good a shot as anybody, and better than some of them. I mean, but I am not discounting the Packers. I'm not discounting anything.
It's going to be this year. Will be the year.
All going to be better.
We will see what each team has, right? Because if all of a sudden the Packers go 8-9. With Jordan Love, that shows they're capable of.
I think Minnesota is the team I'm thinking will fall off a cliff. But again, Brian Flores was a great hire for that defense. That was their main problem.
Their problem's going to be offense.
I think
this year.
Well, I mean, especially they have the best receiver in the league. Kirk Cousins seems to do just enough to win. And their defense should be better under Brian Flores. I mean,
it should be, yes. But that's what I'm saying. It's going to come down to their offense. You lose Dalvin Cook. And after this year, this is also going off of after this year. If Cousins isn't staying in Minnesota, who the Vikings are going to go with a rookie QB or they're going to sign a free agent.
Well, he's there this year,
Yes, but there's talks that
right.
he will not be there after this year, which
Oh,
again,
I don't think he will.
which your window, like you said, would be open, right?
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have to be this year because depending on how the Bears do this year and how the Packers do this year, you will see how long it is.
We'll trade them Hendon Hooker for 2 first-round picks.
That would be. I don't think they would do that.
One first rounder. I'd give him a Hendon Hooker for one.
I don't think we would do that at all.
Quarterback of the future. It'll cost you.
They ain't gonna do that. They're gonna maybe they'll go tank this year and try to get Caleb Williams.
Maybe. There's always options, and if you have like I said, I think what has brought Detroit back is their front office, and I think same thing in Minnesota. I think that their front office is pretty good. We're going to have a very competitive division.
Yeah,
and it's going to be fun in the black and blue division in football this year. I do not think it's going to be what people think, that the Bears are going to just tank and Lions.
No, I don't think the Bears. I don't think the Bears will be that bad. I don't think the Bears are going to be fantastic this year. They'll probably be just like the Packers. Them and the Packers will be kind of on par because they did get a little bit better. They should win about 6-7 games at least.
But we have over all 3 of the other teams in our division is continuity. We have a plan. We are organized. We know what we're doing. We have an identity. All the other ones are enigmas. They don't, and I'm a big fan of Justin Fields. I think that guy's going to do really well. If you put a line in front of him,
so you just got to buy him some time.
Get him a real coach. I think that guy's going to be pretty darn good. Jordan Love is a total question mark. I have no idea.
And that's what I said. This we'll see our future after this year, as we kind of have gotten off topic. But it will be interesting to see what happens throughout the year. If the Lions go after anybody else or they stay put, I think we're going to be safe regardless. Should be a playoff team. Shouldn't have to worry. But that being said, right, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, share the video. And until next time, see everybody soon.